he gives me the live sign. We're live here at Thinker Ventures for 1 Million Cups. Happens most Wednesdays, where we listen to a small business owner, a interesting person, somebody who's in the services business perhaps, somebody who's made a product, somebody who's just dreaming about starting a business and has not done anything yet except talk to their friends. We've had a variety of presentations over the past, let's say, 2 years here at 1 Million Cups. It was started by the Kauffman Foundation a number of years ago to inspire an entrepreneurial spirit throughout the U.S. And so Kauffman Foundation actually employs hundreds of people throughout the United States. We've got the Rockford chapter here. This is the Kauffman Foundation is a not-for-profit thing. We don't get compensated by this either, but we're the Rockford chapter, and then we've got a regional director, and then there's other people above that, and people studying what's happening in the world of being an entrepreneur, and how are people starting businesses, and what are the challenges, and how can we make that life a little bit easier so as to grow the economy. That's the baseline, the basics of what the Kauffman Foundation does and why 1 Million Cups exists. Now today, we're doing something a little bit different. First of all, we do want to thank our coffee sponsor. The coffee sponsor today is Charlie Hare from ServPro. He's there in the back. Give him a round of applause. Coffee doesn't happen automatically. Coffee happens because it's made. And if you actually, this is an interesting thing, if you've never seen a coffee bean, from the birth of the coffee bean to how it gets into your cup, it's an amazing journey. It's a fantastic and amazing journey involving thousands of miles and tens of thousands of people, just so you could have a little pumper there that just spits out coffee. I mean, it's truly amazing if you think about it. But Charlie's sponsoring coffee today, and so he's sponsoring that whole supply chain in some small way so that you can enjoy coffee today at 1 Million Cups. Today, though, we're doing something a little bit different, as I mentioned. A couple weeks ago, we launched an e-commerce company in a short period of time, and we suggested that maybe you could do that in about a half a day. If you took those principles and then moved them forward, you'd have a whole company from your idea into selling something in a half a day. That's how far we've come in terms of launching a business. And so if we think, now we talked about coffee briefly, if you think about how you have no concept of the supply chain of coffee just happens to you. It's just there, right? You just go to the grocery store and it's boom, it arrives, or you have it on Amazon Prime delivery and you don't even think you're ordering it again. It just happens, like, oh my God, somebody ordered this coffee for me. Showed up at my door, and then it hits your pot and you pump it out. The simplicity of a very complex supply chain is magical. Well, this ability to launch an e-commerce business overnight with nothing is also pretty magical. And we're not that far away from when that would have been a total dream. Would have been an impossibility. And so we're living in an interesting era. However, I think if you're an entrepreneur, or you're a small business owner, or if you've walked this life of being in business, even though some things have become very simple, it still feels really complicated. And it's not without its challenges, right? So that business that we helped launch, or we talked about launching several weeks ago, where she was writing these calligraphy letters that would be that'd be your word for the year. And she would send that to you, and that become your inspiration. She wanted to start selling those things, so we helped her launch an e-commerce website, and boom, she can start selling this stuff to the masses. That's pretty straightforward. But where does she go get get more customers? How do people hear about this thing? How does she deliver these things? What if she gets too many orders for her own hand to write? How does she find somebody who can write calligraphy? Is that a thing anymore? How do you train those people, right? Is there like a calligraphy school? How do we get a workforce? There are really complicated questions that people struggle with. So one of the things we thought we'd do today, to shake things up a little bit, is get out your burning questions, and we'll take a moment this morning to help each other answer our burning business questions. We'll write them up here on this piece of paper here, and we will share, as we do in a 1 Million Cups community, your ideas and concepts to solve these problems. Now, here's something to keep in mind when we're trying to solve problems. What we don't want to do is couch a complaint as a supposed problem that we want solved, because those are two different things, right? You've heard those things before, where somebody just wants to get it off their chest, and so they want to propose it as a problem that they want solved. That is different than saying, hey, I really genuinely want this. Here's what I see, and here's what I want to see happen. How could we get there? Right? There's an inherent optimism and in that sort of tone, rather than here's all the things that I'd like to complain about. And I hope somebody solves it. Well, there's enough of that going on in the world, right? That's not this space here. So what we're going to do, we're going to open this up. I know this is like open mic time. It's kind of crazy, right? So no poetry, no rap battles, no, unless you want to do rap battle. You want to do rap battle?
It's awfully risky on that.
It is awfully risky to do a rap battle on live TV. We only did it once, several weeks ago. You can catch that live stream with my friend Jorge Herrera. We duked it out over nursery rhymes. But today, no, I digress. Today we're going to throw you the catch box, and if you have a question that you would like to get this community's help in solving, or a problem that you'd like to help get this community's help in solving, we're going to throw you the catch box, okay? You're going to speak into the catch box, and we're going to all hear whatever this business-related problem or question is that you have. And then when somebody says, hey, I'd like to share into this mix, we're going to throw the catch box to them, and they're going to share. Okay? Pretty simple? Straightforward? Yes? Excellent. So, what are we thinking? Who's got a problem, or who's got a business-related question that we can write on our trusty whiteboard here, or easel, that we can help solve today? Oh yeah, Diane. Don't throw it to you?
It's the rules. It's the rules.
It's the rules.
It is the rules.
All right, watch out for your coffee, everybody.
See ya! More capable than you think you are.
Yeah. I would like suggestions or ideas how I, Members Alliance Credit Union, could get in front of more people to present our products and services.
Okay.
i.e. Manufacturers that have a lot of employees, or it doesn't have to be a lot of employees. Sometimes a smaller group listens, they take in the information better. So how to get in front of your employees or you or whatever.
Okay. Well, you are in front of me. So that check, we'll check off one of those boxes.
Okay.
Can I simplify that into awareness of products and services?
Sure.
To your target market? Yeah?
How well defined is your target market?
Winnebago, Boone, and Ogle County. Everybody living and breathing.
What type of businesses?
No, we don't do business lending. We are a consumer-based company.
'Cause you're a
We have
credit
business
union.
checking account. We're a credit union, and we do mortgages, we do credit cards, we do banking. All other banking services, but we do not do business banking.
Okay, cool. Let's let that
We have
ruminate for.
business checking.
Let's let that ruminate for a minute. We're gonna put it here on the board. Who else has got a question or problem that's circling in your head?
Hey, Kyle. Oh, you. Oh, all right. What?
All right, so right now there's probably a dozen different types of social media that everyone's talking about getting on and, you know, advertising their business on. So it's like walking into 31 flavors and deciding what kind of ice cream you want. So my question kind of centers on, have people found it more effective to pick and choose and be really good at LinkedIn? You know, we're going to do LinkedIn and we're going to be really good at it. Or are they finding it to be more effective to have perhaps a more diluted message, but on multiple platforms where you're going to get it in front of more people and people that are looking at it in different ways? You know, Instagram and Facebook and LinkedIn are three very different monsters. Mm-hmm. Perhaps people are looking at your same message in three completely different ways.
Ooh, good question. Excellent question. There was another question here, another thing we want to get on the board. We have 4 hours today to get to these. Just kidding.
I have two going through my head, but I think the first one might be covered in that awareness of products and services. We're going to expand that to everything, right? Or is it focused on the...
I don't know. We'll see.
Okay, well then I'm going to throw it out.
We're just making this up.
So I'm on the board at Montessori Private Academy, and we're looking to raise enrollment there. And so I think part of that is around awareness, but if there are other ideas on what we can focus there, that would be awesome to hear from other people. It's a school, 2-year-old through 9th grade. And we're also planning to overhaul our website. And so questions around that, like how do we go through the design? What should we focus on? We have some starts, but it would be great to hear from other people what they think.
Okay.
So maybe more generally, when you're starting a website, how should you start that design process?
Okay, how to start the design process?
Yep.
One more.
All right. This is on the use of Facebook for whether it's promotion, it's your business on Facebook. I'm having an issue with that, and the problem is there is no one to contact at Facebook. You look up and you know that get human type thing, and there's a phone number, and you go into a queue, and it gives you one of two choices. It gives you a queue that goes into a place saying that you have to email this particular area, or that that area is not yet available to talk to a person. And in all cases, it then hangs up on you.
So
no matter where you go and trying to talk to somebody, it hangs up on you.
That's convenient. If I had a billion some users, I'd hang up on you too.
Yeah.
Imagine the ringtone in that. Kidding. So what was your? So you said you're having a problem with Facebook in your business. What's the problem?
Putting out a business presence on Facebook.
Okay.
You know, that's because it's like I have you put up an event there, and it's like, okay, is everyone seeing it, or is just you have to actually be connected to the actual sites?
So is that kind of how you use? Your question is how you use Facebook, or how the algorithms work?
How to put up a business presence on Facebook when they don't seem to be interested in letting you know how to do it.
Okay, how to best use Facebook for business presence, yeah?
Yes.
All right.
And/or you want better support.
Well, that's not happening. So that's why I need other people who may have used it already and have already figured things out. Because, yeah, they're not interested in telling me because they have 1 billion people and they don't care.
They do.
Oh,
We are live streaming. We're actually live streaming on YouTube.
Oh, well.
Yeah, Facebook just took us down.
Yeah, some of that wasn't really out loud. It was just in my head.
Yeah, I received notification. You're done. I called them, but then they hung up. All right, catch box. All right, this is a lot of meat here. So here's how I'm going to separate this stuff. I'm going to simplify it in one way. So we've got awareness of products and services to our target market. How to choose social media, or do we concentrate platforms, or do we dilute it across, broader options? Awareness or sales, or how do we build it? It sounded like it could be an awareness or it could be a sales thing. How do we increase enrollment? And then how do we start the design of our website? And then how do we use Facebook from a biz presence standpoint? True? All right. I'm going to stick this over here where you can't read it. And you can read it. Yeah. I purposely write with cryptic letters so that people don't know what I'm saying. So here's how I'm going to simplify this. I think all businesses and all times you get people together and do anything work exactly like this. And if you disagree, you can have the catch box and you can make your point too. I think it works always like this. We go through a process. The process begins with awareness. You either have a need and you become aware that I solved that or served that need, right? And you're like, yes, let's move on. Or you don't know you have a need and I convince you of a need, such as every infomercial you've ever bought anything from. You didn't need that coiled hose, and then 30 minutes later you're like, I need 5 of them right now, right? In 30 minutes, you were swayed. It begins with awareness, right? Let's say we've done a fantastic job through awareness. We move on to a sales process. The sales process is different for every company. I set an idea in your mind of what we were going to achieve, what you were eventually going to get, a need that you were eventually going to have fulfilled. You agreed that you might continue forward into this. We talked about this, I think, a long time ago. There's two types of people who are going to do business with you, those who love you and those who are not yet sure they should love you. Right? I think we've mentioned that before. They're going to go through this process. They're going to become aware, and they're like, yes, I think I should love you. They're going to go to your sales process. Again, this sales process is different for everybody. A piece of gum. Have anybody seen a gum commercial recently? No? Shocking. Have you bought gum recently? No? Yeah, 1. I'll make 2. The sales process for gum looks a lot like stick it on a shelf. I don't have to describe for you what gum is. We don't have to go through some fancy thing about gum and how chewable it is. You just walk through the line at the checkout, right? And you're like, oh my gosh, that's right, I needed gum. And you stick it in your cart, right? Super simple sales process. However, we work with a company that they will spec out a machine and they'll order that machine and then they'll take delivery of it like 1.5 years, 2 years later. Big difference in sales processes. So this is different for everybody, and it's an iterative process, right? So we start at one place. We might go through this quoting thing where we have this dance that goes back and forth, right? I didn't argue over the price of gum, but I might argue over the cost of a machine, right? So we'll go through that quoting process. If we as a business have done a fantastic job from awareness to sales, and the people are still like, yes, we want to do a deal here, we move into fulfillment. We fulfill whatever it is that we said we were going to fulfill. If I spent a half hour making you aware that you needed that coiled hose, I'm going to ship you a coiled hose. I'm going to make a coiled hose. I'm going to send it to you, right? It's going to happen. Pretty straightforward, right? Fulfillment. If we've done a great job from fulfillment, and we are an outstanding company, we're going to move to post-sale service and support. I spent all this time and effort making you aware of something. I went through a sales process, probably an expensive one. I manufactured something, or created something, or served you something. And then I followed back around and said, hey, how'd that thing go for you? If this whole process went really well in our consumer's mind, that turns into referral and repeat biz. That's the process of organic growth. One person steps in the top, all the way down here. Ideally, we get one person and part of their friend coming back in the top, right? Organic growth. This process, I think, can simplify our way of looking at our businesses, because it can get very confusing if we don't have some map to follow, some sort of process. We're Facebook. We just let it It'll go to an answering system. Do you want to talk to somebody? Yes, and that hangs up. We'll go through this process here: awareness, sales process, fulfillment, post-sale service and support, into referral and repeat business. Now, let's talk about these things here. We've got awareness of products and services to our target market. We have how to choose social media, like do we concentrate platforms. We have awareness for or maybe sales, right? We have a website, probably an awareness thing, maybe a sales thing. And then how do we best use Facebook for business presence? Most of what we're talking about up here is happening in these two stages of our business. The front end, right? The worry that's sitting on that board over there is awareness and sales. Now again, I think we can simplify in our minds by using this map, but it starts to get complicated, doesn't it? Because in awareness, we have Facebook, we got LinkedIn, we have YouTube, right? We might have a mailer, we might have a phone call, we might have TV, we might have radio, we might have Diane going around to events, right? We'll call that networking, right? And we got a lot more. And we spread ourselves so super thin right along the top here, and we dribble a little bit of money here, and a little bit of time there, and a little bit of money there, and a little bit of time there. And we think by dribbling it all over the place, right, that somehow we're going to concentrate value. It's probably not going to work. Intuitively, you kind of know it's not going to work. It would be very similar to if you need to buy a tank of gas. So the other night, driving around, and just met with one of my sons and talked about college and stuff. There's a car stalled on State Street. Guy's pushing it, trying to steer his big old Bronco or whatever this old SUV thing was, and he's like pushing it, trying to push it off the road. He's really struggling. And so I turned around and I parked and I said, hey, how can I help you? So we pushed it together. And I said, what's the deal with the car? He says, I think I'm just out of gas. I'm like, okay. Did the gauge say you were out of gas? The gauge doesn't work. All right. He seems to know something. I think this has happened before. So we went and we bought him a little tank. We bought him a little tank of gas, right? And we filled up it's probably 1 gallon, right? Car starts right up. Can you imagine that if you were to drive your car 1 gallon at a time with no system of measurement, how far you'd get? Oh, out of gas again. Huh. Oh, out of gas again. I wonder if that gauge is going to work. Oh, I thought that. Oh, no, I can't remember. Was that Tuesday I felt? I don't remember. Right? I would say that kind of process is very similar to spreading out all of your communication across all platforms at all times. That's my suggestion. Because you're only putting a little bit in at a time, and you're not measuring its effectiveness. You have no idea if it's worth the effort or not. Now, in a digital world, I get it. We could have a thing like Buffer. Buffer.app, I think, is the name of this thing, and there's others, Hootsuite and others, where you can post an update once, and it goes to all of your social media. That's a thing, right? It can simplify getting there. But are you measuring whether it was effective or not? Do you care? You should care. You put time and money into it and effort. But you're like, well, I have to do it. Really? Do you? Wouldn't it be better to think about, I'm going to concentrate my time and money into a platform, I'm going to own that, I'm going to do it really, really well. And it's going to be the platform or communication, maybe 1 or 2 things or 3 things maybe, that I know I can measure its effectiveness, and I can put more than a little bit in the tank at a time. Right? How many companies, you may not know the answer to this, but I do. We talk to companies all the time, like, we need a blog. Okay. When's the last time you posted on your blog? I don't know, like 2 years ago. Okay. Guess what you shouldn't have? A blog. Why? Because if you're going to post every 2 years, people think you went out of business. In their judgy minds, they went on the site and they're like, July 2017. I don't know, back. Right? That happens. You know it. You've done it. If you're going to do a blog, at least do something monthly. And do something valuable to your target market. Oh, and then measure it. Why? Because you're spending time and money. You're not getting it back otherwise. Or you're getting it back going, I don't know, maybe it did, maybe it didn't. Then what are you going to do? So I would say from an awareness standpoint and even from a choosing your social media and you're concentrating on your platforms, a more targeted focus is probably better. And I think it would vary based on your budgets, right? Weigh, how much time and money do I have to devote to this thing? If I were in the market for something and I saw this communication, would that be substantial enough for me in my judgy mind to say, I think I would like to move from awareness to the sales process? Would it be enough for me? And you got to be brutal with yourself. Because what you're going to do is you're going to look at your own stuff and you're going to go, yeah, I would like that, but that's enough. It's not. You know darn well it's not enough. Right? So you got to put yourself way outside of you put your brain way outside your own body and your own experiences and go be judgmental for a while. In a great way. You might as well judge yourself because if you're not, the marketplace is. Truth. So I would say concentrate something up in awareness. Own a particular space because you can, right? As easy as it is to blast your message across everything in little dribbles over how many hours and how many days and how many weeks, you could just take that, focus it in, and I bet you'd have something more valuable.
Can I add on to that?
Yeah.
So-
Here, you got to do the catch box though. That's the rules.
So I'm asked this question a lot also with my clients a lot. A lot of it has to do with doing market research at the up in beginning and building personas. So where do you think your users are? Also look at your competitors. Where are your competitors at, and are the things that they're doing, you can tell real quickly whether or not they're being effective based on what type of stuff and what type of things they're putting across.
Yeah. So here's what I would do. I would build up a little spreadsheet like this. I would loosely call it placement. I would call it cost in dollars, cost in time. And then I would think about this. How many eyeballs did I get? Because you can measure that. Even if you went to an event, how many eyeballs did you get? Right? And then, if you could, because I think you can, then track it to how many sales you get. And if you went and built this up, and you had a mailer, and you paid somebody to do outbound calls, and you went to a networking event, like how shocking would this be if you went to a networking event and you counted the number of people you spoke with? And then you thought, how many of these people did I turn into a sale? How shocking would that be? It could totally be done on the back of a napkin. Right? But instead, I had a lady here, she comes to 1 Million Cups pretty often. I'll change the name to protect the innocent. Kidding. She said, hey, I'm going to go up to that thing over there, and I'm going to learn about marketing. I was like, okay, cool. Just out of curiosity, what are you trying to answer? I don't know. I just think I'm going to learn something. Okay. Do you know you don't know the question you're trying to get answered? Do you know the issue they're trying to solve? That's a great question. Yes, it is. Because how often have we spent copious amounts of time getting answers for things we don't know the question for? I'm just going to go there. I might get some answers. For what exactly? At least know that you just went there to to just get into the soup. That's okay. Hey, we're just going to make some random connections. There's a time for that. Awesome. Make some random connections. The guy who I gave gas to, I gave him the phone number of a place where he could get a better job, because in our conversation driving around Rockford trying to find somebody who had a small little gas tank, he's like, yeah, I just got off work, been there for 7 years. I'm trying to get another job, but here's my criteria, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, hey, cool, I know somebody. Random connection. Awesome. But it's not all random. Sometimes you got to throw it on a spreadsheet. Is this a sales day? Throw it on a spreadsheet. If this is a random connection day, maybe don't. But no, you're devoting this amount of time to it. And then you might think, maybe I should do that. Way in the back, Diane.
Not to challenge you exactly, but just another view on this.
Please.
Is I do a lot of networking,
Yep.
obviously, and one time I went to one of my first networking events, and I met a gal from BMO Harris, a huge international bank, right? And she said that they send all of their people to something called like a professional networking boot camp. And she said, and she was a financial analyst, so she wasn't an outside person such as myself. And she said that they always told them over and over at this professional networking boot camp, it's not how many cards did I hand out, how many did I collect, how many can I mentally say, oh, this is going to turn into a sale. It's, am I visible? So I have taken that to heart.
Yeah.
And that.
Absolutely. I think there's good principle in that. So let's talk about that for just a moment, because I agree with you, and I also see that there's maybe a different side to this. So let's think about this. You are out and visible all over the place, right? You're like a wave. You're like a tsunami that started out at sea, right? And they all see you coming.
Are you trying to hide from me now, Jason?
I'm not. I've never tried to hide from you. Maybe once or twice. I don't know. Just kidding. Right? It's like you build this wave out at sea of visibility. Right? That's taken you a long time, hasn't it? And you've been to all sorts of things. That's part of your role.
Yeah.
Your role is to connect.
Connect.
Right? And you've already talked about my market is everywhere to all people. You said anybody who's breathing, I think, was in Winnebago, Boone, and some other county. Ogle. Winnebago, Boone, and Ogle County, anybody who's breathing is in the market for credit union. I'll take your word for it. There, I would say, is something like this. Your role is to go out and network. How much time do you have devoted to networking?
Myself, say, in events, 20 hours a week.
20 hours a week. How many people do you maybe run into constantly and stay visible?
Oh, I know, I don't know. How many do I always?
Probably hundreds. I'm going to say hundreds.
Yes, a lot.
Hundreds of people who are all probably in the market for what you sell. Right?
Exactly.
Absolutely. Sure. So let's compare you to a mailer.
To a mailer?
I know. I know. Let's think about this. A mailer. Does anybody know what mailer costs are nowadays? Anyone run a mailer recently? How much? $3,000 to $4,000. Okay, let's call it $4,000. How much time is that going to cost you?
Probably about 2 weeks.
2 weeks of concentrated effort? I'm going to say a mailer is going to cost you 60 hours of somebody's effort someplace.
Right.
Plus the cost, right? How many people are you maybe going to reach with that? How many? 4,000?
I'd say like maybe 3,000, taking into account like postage and all that stuff. So.
Okay.
Yeah, dollar.
All right, so let's call it 4,000. You're going to reach 4,000 people, and how many people are actually going to see that before they dump it in the trash?
30%.
Two.
30%. About 30%.
Okay, and how many people are going to take action on that? 30. You said 30%. How many is that? 1,000? I think that's really high. I think that's crazy, crazy high.
Well, I was touching on that. I didn't say they were actually doing it.
Yeah, Right.
We don't go past that.
So look at-
They go like this, they, you know, I mean, 200. I mean,
Yeah, okay.
if you're stopping and reading, probably more like 18%.
How many?
But 18.
18?
I'd say 18.
Okay,
They actually-
we're going to use 20 people for just some math here. So we'll say it's between 20 and 1,000, right? Who are going to see a little logo and it's gone, right? Versus you going off and talking to them, right? And them liking your personality. What do I know about Members Alliance with your personality or this logo? I know a whole lot more. I'll answer it. It's a rhetorical question. I know a whole lot more about Members Alliance by knowing you than I know about the logo, right? If you were to add up the cost of this versus us trying to reach these many people and get this many, actually reach this many people, right? Your effort is probably pretty valuable here, right? And for the type of thing that you sell, which is a highly relational thing, it would probably be it would be a leg up maybe versus your competition. So let's say that you're better than a mailer. Now let's think about this. I have networking event and I have networking event 2. And you've capped out your 20 hours a week, and you went into 5 hours additional here, and you were going to get 5 people there who are basically the similar as they were here, right? The same types of people here. You wouldn't have your 5 hours here. You'd say, no, I'm not going to do that networking event. You are doing this already in your brain. You're just not putting it on paper, right? I'll go to this thing, I won't go to this thing. I'll go to this thing, I won't do that. You're going to do the Advantage Club versus something else. Do you do BNI?
No, sir.
No, you don't.
Too much time.
Too much time. You did this math in your head and went, nope, the value of that, no bueno. Not good for me.
Yeah.
Everybody does this. We just don't get very critical about it. Throw it to Charlie.
Oh, throw it to Charlie.
Throw it to
Okay,
Charlie.
Charlie.
I think I talk to a lot of people, and the first thing I see is, are people being really objective about whatever it is that they have or they're trying to take to the market? They might have what they feel is the greatest thing, but if they actually talk to people in the industry to say, here's the advantages, the disadvantages. I mean, you're spending a lot of time trying to market something, but is there really a market that you can make money at? Because if you want to sell it for $5 and it costs you $3 to make or whatever, you're not being objective with yourself because you're going to lose money.
Sure.
With those, and that's the first thing that I always see when I'm talking to people. Are you being objective with yourself? You know, that's a mistake I really see a lot of people make on stuff.
Yeah, good question. So the answer is no, you're not being objective with yourself. It's impossible. You're always having some sort of subjectivity into it. Plus, all the people who love you are very subjective. You've got to get outside of the people who love you. And even then, you have to make it a safe space where they can tell you the truth. A lot of then, right? Here's a simpler way to think about it. If we go back up to here, if let's say we had some sort of awareness activity, right? And we'll use for easy math here, we had 10,000 people that we contacted and we got one lead into our sales process and that lead did not convert. We would say, this is ineffective, right? However, if we have 10,000 people who are aware of our product or service and 5,000 of them became leads and none of them converted, where's the problem? Problem could be first in the sales process. Always go up. Measure each one of these stages and then always go up. Okay, so wait a second, I got 5,000 leads and I converted none of them. Is it me? That'd be a problem, right? Or did I dupe them with my offer? That could be a problem too, right? But you can figure this out by going up through the chain. Simplify it, but you got to measure it, right? So I'm encouraging measure the placements that you have with some sort of spreadsheet, measure the number of leads that you have here, measure your conversions, and if there's a problem, because you will see a difference between these different channels. You absolutely will see a difference. You might think, Okay, I got a problem all around, which means maybe I don't have a product or service that people want to buy. Or maybe I do have a product or service that people want to buy, but this channel converts really well, this channel doesn't convert really well, and I only have a limited amount of time and money to apply, and so I'm going to cut off this thing and I'm going to go to this area over here and commit my time and money to this effort. Why? Because I can measure it, right? If I could put more money at this and I could get 20,000 and we knew it was converting, we'll do it, right? We're almost out of time. So let's circle back around on some of these things. We'll answer these questions real fast. So awareness of products or services to the target market. First, you got to know who your target market is. Then you got to figure out where they hang out. Maybe you don't need a Facebook page as a business. Just throwing it out there. Just thinking about it, right? Are you on LinkedIn? I got all sorts of people who have manufacturing businesses. They're like, hey, I got a Facebook page. Neat. Are you on LinkedIn? Well, linked who? What? You don't know where you don't know where your target market hangs out. Focus on something that you can easily manage and measure. If you can't easily manage it and measure it, you won't. That's just the rule. It will happen today and not tomorrow, and then you'll be all disappointed in yourself. I used to do that. I used to have that blog, but it's been since July 2017. Well, stop having a blog or commit to it, one or the other. Our sales process here, we can measure our leads into our sales process. We can measure our conversions. So this question of focus on our you said awareness or sales, right, for people coming in. I would measure this. Are we measuring leads or are we measuring conversions? Or are we measuring none of them? If we're measuring none of them, I guarantee you don't have an answer, which means it's going to become people sitting around a table with concepts and ideas, and the world is not light on ideas. It's light on execution, good implementation, right? And the best way to figure out good implementation is to measure it. Focus on a website, how to start design process. That's an interesting one. However, real fast here, what I would say is know your target market, what do they expect to see, and what compelling value do you bring to the world? If you don't know your compelling value to bring to the world, go figure it out. Once you've figured it out, then figure out how best to communicate it based on what you would want to see and be super brutal about it. And then push that over a social media platform, or maybe not a social media platform. Maybe get your butt out there in your network, and people start liking you. And they're like, I like you, so therefore I like your product or service. That is the connection that people make in their minds. I don't like you, must be that I don't like your product or service, right? People make these simple judgment calls, right? So get out and then think about from a website design standpoint, when people visit this thing that I put out there. So I talk to them at a networking event, they like me, I tell them here's what's great and amazing, and then they go to this website. Does that also concentrate the value that I just set up way up here in awareness? If it doesn't, I broke the chain, and the guarantee that I made here fell apart here. And you'll see that in the numbers if you're measuring it. How to use best Facebook, how to best use Facebook from a business presence. First thing I would say is your business, or does your target market care about interacting with your product or service on Facebook? If they don't, ignore it. If you feel like you have to have a Facebook presence, and you might have to have a Facebook presence, maybe Facebook made it for you, maybe you've always had it up there, right? Then post something once in a while to let the people know that you're alive. But go figure out where your target market interacts and go find them. Be there. That's what Diane does with her networking. She becomes visible in the community. Everybody knows her. Nathan does it too. He's there seemingly everywhere. He's not actually there everywhere. He's just strategically choosing where he goes to become visible everywhere.
Also,
Okay?
I think basically
Yeah.
you've got to spend money as a business.
You do.
You have to invest
Yeah.
money in it, otherwise there's no return.
Yeah, we won't get into the algorithms of Facebook, but yeah, Facebook is a business. It wants to make money. It's going to figure out how to have you spend money, which is the boost button. First key, don't use the boost button. If you want to know why, you can talk to me. All right, we're out of time. This has been 1 Million Cups. A little bit different today. If you have a burning question in your mind, come up, talk to us afterwards. We'll be happy to answer that or get you connected to somebody who can. Remember, coffee was sponsored by Charlie Hare with ServPro. Let's give him a round of applause. If you want your mind blown, go on YouTube and search for a video about how coffee gets to your coffee pot. Really exciting. Yes, sir? I mean, who what? Oh, I have tried that. It's a little funky.
You know how that's made?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Made.
Well,
You talk to Charlie afterwards. He's got a good story about coffee, a certain type of coffee that you can try too. All right, it's been 1 million cups. Thanks for coming today. Enjoy this beautiful weather.